Hi. So yeah. Hi. This is Leo Orleans, and this is my 1 week. One week. This is my 1 week on testosterone update video. Okay, yeah. So the other thing is these videos. Sorry about the lighting. Um, sorry about the sound. I don't know how that's doing. Sorry about the shitty videography. Um, but that is we're going step by step here. I just really wanted to start to document this process, so we'll worry about editing, video editing, and all that kind of stuff a little bit later on. Um, Great. So 1 week on T. Wednesdays are my injection days, so I'm a little day behind making this. Um, but uh, yeah, let's talk about what I'm experiencing. So changes so far is that I really feel like maybe my um, muscles and hair, like body hair and face hair, are like activating. I really do feel like in the first week, I already have facial hair. This is my beard 1 week on testosterone, but I already had a beard before I started testosterone. So, anyways, I do feel like a little bit of like mustache fuzz started to come in a little bit, but I don't know if you're really gonna be able to tell in this video. And um, I already, like I said, I already have facial hair. So um, also, like I had said in my other video, I'm also growing my hair back. So this is my hair with about a week and a half worth of hair growth. So I was looking at it and being like, oh, it's bald and patchy and da 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 da. But it's literally only been growing for like a little bit under 2 weeks. So uh, maybe I should just chill out because it's kind of growing pretty fast. This is my hair 1 week on testosterone. Okay. So my voice, I always feel like my voice was kind of low, considering I'm assigned um, female. That was my birth assignment. Um, I think it was. I think they were mistaken. I don't. I don't think I'm a female. So I don't think that they were correct. But I feel like my pee smells a little bit different. So that's something. One of the biggest things I've actually noticed is just kind of feeling like a bit of like soreness and like maybe some minimal swelling around the injection site. I am doing an intramuscular injection. I inject into my thigh. So I don't know if that's something that anyone else experiences. Maybe if folks do, they can like let me know. Um, but I'm hoping that's not something that like is consistent every time, because I am injecting once a week. So to have like a little bit of like tenderness and soreness, um, like not even just like at the injection site, but kind of in the whole area there. So I don't know if that's normal or what, but nonetheless, something I've like experiencing. So, um, what else? Yeah, I guess changes are gonna come over time slowly, but I wanted to talk about today, starting at 4 minutes, almost at 4:20. Let's start at 4:20. There you go. Um, about gender dysphoria, which is very common for a lot of trans people to experience. So, for me, I'm not really calling this documentation the beginning of my transition. I think it's a huge milestone starting to take testosterone, but uh, I would really, if I want to call like a time period in my life and like define it as transition, I would really start with when I began to acknowledge my gender as two spirit, as non binary, genderqueer, or transgender. So that for me happened in all of those identities. I um, identify with, I guess. But again, there there is a range. I mean, the cool thing about trans people is like we're like people, so we're diverse and we have like a whole range of experiences that we define as transgender people, as gender nonconforming or non-binary or two-spirit people. So um, I wanted to talk about dysphoria because that's something that is a very common experience for trans people. So what is it? What does it mean? Dysphoria is a condition or state of feeling extreme dissatisfaction or discomfort with life in general. So, um, for trans people, they are experiencing gender dysphoria, meaning that they are not feeling aligned with their birth assigned gender. Um, and sometimes it just stops there, or sometimes there's also a strong feeling of identifying with the opposite gender, which is also a part of like what we're acculturated in, which is called a gender binary. And that basically just means you're a man or a woman, and there's like nothing in between. So a lot of trans folks feel dysphoria for their assigned birth gender, which at in the world we're living in is either male or female. Um, and folks are feeling a little bit more aligned with um, the gender they're not assigned, which would be either male or female depending. So um, we actually are still really trying to understand living in a world that even acknowledges trans people's existence. So for me, I call myself Two Spirit because that's specifically a um, sorry, I haven't figured out how to edit yet, but I do get nervous and I don't write things down first. So uh, the Two Spirit identity is specific to North American. Sorry, I would say North and South American LGBTQ people. Two Spirit. So it's the the definition of Two Spirit. While it does align a lot of ways with like trans or queer, um, the specific culture that it comes from, like there could be a specific name, but also gender works different in indigenous societies. So a lot of times, like what your gender is also defines like your role in the community and how you basically show up and support and exist like in your community. So two spirit people were offered, I'm sorry, often revered people in their cultures because they're holding a spirit of both masculine and feminine energies and are able to, and so are then like revered for, you know, knowledge holders and oftentimes have caretaker roles in their communities. And so again, this is just very general because it's going when it gets to a specific, that is depending on the culture. So for me, I'm a indigenous descended person, and um, so I call myself like a mixed indigenous person, um, and I don't have a specific tribal affiliation, um, but I do identify as Two Spirit as an indigenous person, and honoring that myself as as a trans person, as a Two Spirit person, I do have a specific role and duty in my family for that. So I hope that's helpful, and I'm definitely open to like learn more myself and keep asking questions. Um, but dysphoria came up for me because it comes up for trans people, and um, it comes up in different ways. Also, so gender dysphoria is the really the main kind of type of dysphoria that is experienced by trans people, and a lot of times people will define their identity of as being a trans person by the gender dysphoria that they are experiencing. So, um, I wanted to talk about dysphoria because for like I'm going to talk specifically about like trans guys because this is like the experience for myself that I most like align with. Um, and so some of the changes that trans guys experience when they go on testosterone actually alleviates some of their gender dysphoria um, as the changes start to occur. So when I was thinking about this, I like I said, I don't really know. My gender dysphoria doesn't make me feel like I'm a man or that I'm a woman born into I'm a man more born into a woman's body. It's more that I've had dysphoria um, around gender because I didn't feel like the body that I was living in um, was a woman's body, and so when I would actually try to show up for myself as a woman in my body, I wasn't able to accomplish that. So for example, I'm body hair is something that gives me huge dysphoria. um so that has to do with like body dysphoria, like, and it is a type of gender dysphoria because what I'm going to um defend to the grave is that there is we are making a mistake by trying to define ourselves within two genders. And some trans people will insist that there only is two genders. So, and that's validating as far as under as far as understanding oneself is like, yeah, I'm this gender and I was born in the wrong body, but there is only two. There's only two. I'm gonna assert something different, that um, there are maybe multiple genders, but there's more than two. I'm gonna assert that because while I was having trouble in my own body understanding myself as a woman or a girl, or at least that was like difficult for me to show up for myself in that way in the body that I was naturally had, I also was not having too much dysphoria around needing or wanting or identifying myself as a man or as a boy. Um, so it's not so cut and dry because I do remember times when I was growing up like wanting to be a boy. Like I have with I'm figure out better way ways for me to talk about this so it's easier for me to talk about, but um I I did I did want at times to be a boy. I'd run around with my shirt off, and I want to do maybe like do boy stuff, but I don't remember liking dolls so much when I was a kid, but I also don't really remember liking um like GI Joes and sports and trucks and all this kind of, I don't know, stereotypical boy things that boys like a little weirdo liking. Like my favorite toys were like art supplies and stuff like that. So while I was thinking like I didn't like wearing dresses, and I sometimes like to run around with my shirt off, like because I wanted to be a boy, um and so there is that. But also I was just also thinking, because the other thing I wanted to talk about, and uh, I don't want to lose or confuse people here, because part of the struggle that trans people endure is to just be validated for existing. So we live every day in a world outside of our homes and communities and people who are safe and respectful of us that doesn't even acknowledge our existence. So um, I want to be careful talking around certain types of dysphoria when I'm talking about my experience as a trans person. Well, my experience is my experience, and I think the problem is that we are obsessed with like trying to define what it is to be human, or what it is to be an efficient human or an ideal human, when that is incredibly toxic, oppressive, and dehumanizing, and where we really should be honoring uh, honoring each other as human beings based off of our unique experience, unique human experiences. So, um, I think that's kind of the lens that we um, should and could be in encountering one another. Um, so, I don't want to invalidate in any way um, trans people's existence or struggles with gender dysphoria, but I do want to talk about another type of dysphoria called species dysphoria, and that is really based around the discomfort of or dissatisfaction with being a human. So what I do want to say about that is that it's fucking hard to be a human. It's fucking hard. It's hard. So um, this idea for certain people that they like really identify with some other animal or entity or living thing besides human is becoming like more and more understandable, at least from my perspective. Also, um, people's like as human beings, we are obsessed with animals. Like we already personify like look at all these filters where people gotta have like little bunny noses and like puppy ears and shit like that. Like so, we through a very many cultures mundialmente around the world, like um, we have mimicked and then likened ourselves to and adopted like spirit animal and spirit energy. um, so it's not really uncommon for us to imagine ourselves or to dream about ourselves or to actually feel like we embody or hold inside of our spirits animals or species outside of what it is to be human. And it's totally understandable for me as someone who's two-spirit or transgender who has experienced like gender and body dysphoria uh, to really have a lot of empathy and compassion and understanding for people who experience species dysphoria, because at the same time I was running around like with my shirt off wanting to be a boy, I would spend quite a significant amount of time in the mirror. Also, like I'm holding my phone with one hand, but I would like make my ears pointed, and I'd wonder if there was like a surgery I could get that would make me have pointed ears. And I wanted to actually talk about this kind of dysphoria because look, I'm so cute. I'm like a little goblin, I'm fairy. I'm a mythical creature. So anyways, like I noticed that in my documentation of this of my two spirit journey that I've referred to myself as a goblin and also an avocado flower. So to me, like mythical creatures, we assume that they're not. We just take it as like a belief that they're mythical. They're not actually real. But um, for some reason, I just feel like mythical creatures are like also queer. So like fairies and goblins and pixies and sprites and gnomes. There's like some element of queerness that's going on with all of those creatures and stuff. So, um, the thing about the goblin is that they're like, I always say that I'm part goblin because like a full goblin's a little bit evil, but like mischief is our god. So, that's just it for me. And I do feel like I am a gender that's not of this earth, or at least not acknowledged in this earth. So I do feel like sometimes like a mythical creature. Like I'm just like this creature running around that even though I'm here, there's like this constant denial because I know I'm magic. I know I got magic. Like that's not a mystery. Glitter. Um, but yeah. So in all seriousness, like it's really hard to be a human being. So I'm opening up to this idea of like validating more the human experience and people who are experiencing species dysphoria, or just having just as hard as it is for trans people to exist in a gender that they don't feel comfortable with. um, I can acknowledge that people don't don't feel comfortable to the level of deep satisfaction and disruption of the quality of your life just based off of the disconnect of being a human being. That's hella valid. So for me, when I'm thinking about growing body hair, like I know for a lot of trans guys, it's like, I mean, I've had trans guys on T like come up to me and be like, yo, how did you get your beard? And I'm like, bro, like, I don't know. Like, I'm just a boy. Like, I just grew this beard because I'm a boy. I don't know what to tell you. Um, so, but when I was 16 and, trying to deal with myself as like a girl or like a budding teenager, my time in puberty, like, I just felt like I was like, my body was experiencing like secondary sex characteristics of male more than like a woman. And like, so I was just having like, I was living through hell. And the hair on my body was like making my life hell. I hated it. Okay, so I actually said that I like grew the privilege to grow my beard. I meant to say I grew the courage to finally grow my beard. But literally, like, for over a decade, I never even knew what my beard looked like. It took me, even beyond comfort of like, starting to acknowledge myself as, like, a two-spirit person. I still was, like, I would not let my beard grow out. And I am 38. I'm going to turn 39 this year. Again, so, hey, it's never too late to transition. Go youngsters, go elders, get your life. But I never grew it out until I never had the courage to like let it actually grow until I was 35. And now it's kind of weird because I can't like imagine like not having it there. I just like, I love it so much. So, but again, like what the experience of having body hair in my life was like not cool. Like it sucked. So I'm not totally excited about like becoming hairy. That's caused a lot of dysphoria for me in my life. So I don't know. I'm just like, this is just my life. So I'm just experiencing it and seeing how it goes. Yeah. So I also called myself an avocado flower. And one cool thing about trans people is that we're people. So, we have different interests, jobs, hobbies, stuff that makes us tick, sexualities, okay? What did I find out about my sexuality as a two-spirit person? What I found out is that doesn't matter who I sleep with, it's always pretty gay. So, yeah. What am I talking about? Yeah, so an avocado flower, I'm a farmer, trans farmer. That's actually someone's handle on Facebook, but clever. I'm trans and a farmer. Farm nerd. I'm a farmer, okay? Yeah, so um, I learned about plant reproduction, and I already am obsessed with avocados. My farmer dreams have always been like centered around avocados and stuff. So, an avocado flower is unique. First of all, plants and flowers, their expressions of what like we could understand as gender and sexuality are like vast in number. And this is like scientific. This is scientifically based. This is botany. It's called morphology. But you can go in and find like a basic list of 20, and that's not even covering all like the gender and sexuality expressions like in the plant kingdom, which I'm going to also include mushrooms in there because they're kind of like their own category, but also like got their unique thing going on. Goblin. But the avocado flower is unique and very set apart from any of the other gender and sexuality expressions that plants embody for reproduction, and I guess just to look good. I mean, well, that's a part of it, right? Like, you know, we get fresh. We especially as like queer and trans people, like we like looking good. So, you know, plants and flowers, they do the same thing. Anyhow, the avocado flower is transgender. It actually physically changes the flower itself physically changes from a female or fruit producing flower into a male or pollen producing flower depending on the type of day. So for example, if you're showing your fruit flower, your female flower in the morning, you got to be planted next to or in proximity to a tree, an avocado tree that's showing its pollen flowers or male flowers in the morning, so that pollination, that pollinating can happen. And you know, there's more parties involved here, very queer, because then a pollinator like a bee or somebody got to come, a fairy perhaps, got to come and extract the pollen, you know, by usually just crawling on it and sucking the nectar out of the flower, and the pollen gets stuck onto the bee because it's hairy, and then it flies over to the fruit flower and drops off the pollen, and then the little baby fruit is already on the flower, and if it's pollinated, it'll grow into an avocado. Guess what? It also takes 9 months to mature, and voila, there you go. So I'm calling this part of my journey the transformation of the avocado flower. Or I'm sorry, I'm just calling my transition the transformation of the avocado flower. So I hope that's interesting and helpful. I've been going on and on for half an hour, so we'll see if I can even use this video. But I'm gonna wrap up, and I think I'm gonna use this as my voice documentation, just an ode to my nervous self making my intro, my two-spirit intro video. So in the beautiful words of Prince, and also some other 80s band, I'm sorry, I will figure out what their name is for the next time and acknowledge them. But my name is Leo Orleans, and this is my voice, 1 week and 1 day on testosterone. I am not a woman. I am not a man. I am something you could never understand. I'm coming out. I want the world to know. I'm coming out. I'm gonna let it show. So there it is. Love you all. Be good to yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Peace.